Hey everybody, welcome back to another Severe Weather Center forecast. And in today's forecast, we're going to be breaking down the threat for a massive multi-day severe weather outbreak today and going into next week. This is the current watches and weather statements that have been provided by the National Weather Service. We have a large swath of severe thunderstorm watch with a couple severe thunderstorm warnings up here in Kansas and the panhandles of Oklahoma and even a little bit in Nebraska. This will be for mainly damaging winds and large hail. If you come on down here, you can see tornado watch. This is because the supercells that do pop up down here could have the threat for some isolated tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds, basically all of the above. And then if we go even further south, the new watch that was issued for basically an extension of the tornado watch, but just less enthusiastic about a tornado. And then we come on over the eastern Oklahoma, we have flash flood watches and a couple warnings. And if we come on down to southeastern Texas, we have flash flood warnings and another flash flood watch. Those are all the watches and warnings that have been produced by the National Weather Service at this point. And, let's go over the SCP Outlook or Storm Prediction Center Outlook. So we're going to go over the first 3 days, then we're going to look ahead into the weather models, then we're going to look at the possibility for a massive, all next week, outbreak in the Midwest. But first, let's take a look at this. So, this is today. There was an enhanced risk over here, but because it is now 9:24 for me, it was downgraded because the storms have started. We have two slight risks. One up here for mostly Kansas and southern Nebraska, and then we have this one going down basically from northern Texas down to southern Texas, and this is all for just damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado or two. This is today's threat. It is ending. I'm making this video very late, but this threat is ending. Any remaining storms are going to begin to die out. If we take a look at the day 2 categorical, you can see a much more intense day, and not just for severe weather and for tornadoes and damaging hail, not necessarily damaging winds, but you can see a marginal risk shoots all the way over here. So you could see rumbles of thunder anywhere in this green, stretching from Texas all the way back up to Illinois. The yellow is a slight risk. You could see a better chance. And of course, the orange or enhanced risk, you can see the best chance for a strong to significant severe storm. This will be pretty isolated though, because this is a very small enhanced risk area. Is going to be very small. Any storms that do get spark up and are tornadic, then there's that threat. And I will show you the major tornado categorical. If we come on down here, you can see there's a 10% hatched risk in that yellow shade. And a hatched or SIG means it could be very, very strong tornadoes. So not like weak tornadoes you would see in a normal outbreak. Stronger ones that if touched down could produce significant damage. But it's a very small area right where that enhanced risk is. So for any storms that can fire, that's why there's an elevated risk. And it's for any storms that can fire right there. There's that elevated risk. And then for day 3, right now it is marginal for just basically eastern Texas, back into Missouri, a little bit of Arkansas and Oklahoma, and even Louisiana. I doubt this will get upgraded, but that's day 3. Now, we're still not done. It's shocking, but we're still not done. If we come to day 4, you can see they put out a very early 30% or an enhanced risk. The days 4 through 8 go by 0 or less than 15, which is which is the normal white map. 15, which is the yellow, and 30, which is the orange. The orange has the greatest threat, and whenever day 3 comes around, so it's actually put in the marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, it's already going to be enhanced. And the reasons for this is because there's a trough over here. And when that trough moves down here, and there's cold air, that will come right up here, which could produce snow in Montana. When the warm air from the Gulf of Mexico comes up here, and the cold air meets, that's why they have this threat right here. Mainly for all modes, basically. But the greatest threat for all modes will be right in that kind of in the orange shaded region, and that's mostly Kansas. That's mostly Kansas that will see that threat. Oklahoma has the greater threat of seeing less significant, but still has a threat. And then day 5, we have another slight risk. This time it's not enhanced, just slight. This will be for This is going to be for much more populated areas like Illinois, Missouri, good portion of Arkansas, maybe even a little bit of extreme western portions of Kentucky and western portions of Indiana, near in the Great Plains and Ohio Valley, however you want to say it. And this is again going to be all modes are possible for that day, and then finally on day 6 we have another slight risk, and basically in the same region, just further south. This time including much more of Arkansas, I get Texas and Oklahoma, and still southern Missouri. But the only change would be much more of Arkansas seeing a severe weather threat. Now, will this hold true? Who knows? It's 6 days out is what that says. And then day 7 and day 8, there's nothing. Let's get into the forecast models to see what they're saying. So first of all, I'm gonna show you what the radar could look like, finishing out these storms down here in Texas. So this is right now. See, the tornado watch is down here for these storms, especially for some of these supercells that have kind of grew strong. And as the hours move on, these storms you see they'll just fizzle out. Some could remain strong up here, where that severe thunderstorm watch is. Maybe even a few could remain strong, and some down here on the Texas-Mexico border. But those will eventually fade out, and here comes day 2. So here's the system up here moving across. Some early morning storms could happen in some parts, like around Joplin, and areas in Missouri. And some rumbles of thunder in eastern Oklahoma, or western Oklahoma, in like El Reno, areas there. But then you can see initiation begins, and the reason why they have that 10% is because you see these kind of big blue cells with like the blue going super far out. Those are supercells, what produce tornadoes. And you see when they explode, they get very strong. Initially, when they're in this isolated stage, if anything can get a hook, or like a hook would be like that. If any storm can start to look like a G almost, but like an upside down G, or an angled G. If anything can look like almost like an angled G, then it can become tornadic and produce tornadoes. But you'll see those will come into a congealed line, which could pose the threat for some flash flooding in the north and a greater threat for severe weather in the south. We'll have a couple rumbles of storms out ahead, and maybe in some in the back. You can see here you have like this one, and that one, and this one. But those would just be general risk, and then those will also eventually fade out. But let's start talking about next week's threat for the Midwest, which is much more important. So we come to the Midwest United States. Let's first look at the radar. I'm pretty sure this can show up. It won't be high res, but it'll give us good understanding. Yeah, so here is day 1, which is why they have that enhanced risk back down here in Kansas. Let me see if I can get a better view of that. I guess we're going to see Central United States. So you'll see the greatest threat has been posed here, and the reason for this model shows damaging winds, or a straight line. You see how this is a straight line? Those pose more damaging winds to large hail threat. But you see these little cells that get out ahead? Those could become super cellular and produce tornadoes, which is why all modes are possible. Those will move through, and then that slight risk is for parts of the Ohio Valley. And if we come look at the Ohio Valley, you'll see that low pressure system that's for the storms today and tomorrow will move through. And here comes this system. This is where that slight risk is. And then that slight risk again back here, which right now this is showing a much more significant threat, especially in Arkansas, back down here in Texas, Oklahoma, maybe in a little bit in eastern Tennessee. And that will move through, and then maybe in a day 4 threat down the Dixie Alley, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and those will move out of here. Then general rain showers will set in much for the area. If we take a look at severe weather, only thing I can really look at now is bulk shear, which shows the spin. And you can see, if we go back to the Midwest United States, you can see that here those storms will move through. That's the low pressure. The first day, you can see there's shear, but not a lot. Here's that line back here. There's the shear front line. There are still isolated slots, especially further south. But the greatest threat for day 1 would be damaging winds. Then day 2 rolls around. There you could have more of a tornadic threat, because you see the shear is much higher. And in Iowa and further south, it's much higher, which poses more of a spin in the atmosphere. And then that'll move off down to the south slowly. And then I believe now, I don't think the NAM goes out far enough to see a high res image. No, it only yeah. But this is the greatest image I can get of it. That would be a damaging wind possible derecho threat, because you can see it's a line, it's a Boeing line. That would pose derecho / extremely damaging wind threat. But that is all. I kind of rambled a lot because there's a lot of information, so I kind of waited a few days I kind of waited a couple days just to get all this information out to you guys, so it's accurate and people can like start to not worry, but like know about it. So there's a little bit of a delay there, but yeah. That is severe weather center, and I will see you guys in the next one.